organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up tonight on Daily Iowan TV, I take you behind the scenes of the Devonian Fossil Gorge and show you how rocks really do rock.
And we'll take a look at a film festival in Iowa City focusing on the feminine population.
Later in the Weather Center, we talk about Iowa City and what's in the forecast this week. Everything from thunderstorms, clouds, and sun. I'm Bradley Martin. Stay tuned.
There's nothing like a weekend at the ballpark. Coming up, find out how Duane Banks Field was filled with happy Hawkeyes after the first Big Ten series of the season.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Nikki Crossway.
And I'm Keaton Fuller. Pakistani tragedy on Easter Sunday. The work of what appears to be a suicide bomber has taken the lives of 60 people and injured 300 more in the eastern Pakistani city of Lahore. The Pakistani faction of the Taliban has taken responsibility for the bombing, which occurred in a park where many Christians had gathered to celebrate the Easter holiday. The chief minister of the province has announced that 3 days of mourning and proclaimed that those involved shall be brought to trial.
More changes as the UI president stays involved. UI President Bruce Harreld recently rejected an $80 million plan for the new art museum that was planned to go downtown Iowa City. Harreld wants to look at a lower cost options that would put the art back on university property. The more than 14,000 piece art collection has been displaced since the flooding in 2008. There are 3 new UI buildings scheduled to be finished this summer.
Film Festival, was held for the first time in Iowa City with a focus on sexual assault and hardships of being female. Reporter Daisy Lee has the story.
Mixed heavy shots, black stories, and the rhythm of deity tried to reveal the social female status and problems. All the short films produced by people who identify themselves as female tried to emphasize on sexual assaults and the ideas that are not accepted by men in the society. There were 10 short films played during the show, included The Day and Night by Emily Esperanza and Abby Young, and J Nugget by Charlie Kennedy. Graduated student from Chicago, Serena Illuminati, is the director of Film Festival. The idea is to provide opportunities for women showing the films they directed and produced.
It's really just about giving female artists a platform to share their stories, because so often female filmmakers especially are erased. It's really rare to work on a film set where there are a lot of other women working on the crew.
Film Festival is hosted by Dollhouse. The Dollhouse DIY is a Chicago performance venue run entirely by female-identified people. It was featured in Best of Chicago when it opened in 2014.
I think the work that I saw tonight, it encapsulated a lot of different filmmakers with a wide range of things to say. I was very impressed.
The festival goes around the country and has been hosted in Chicago, Des Moines so far. Cleveland, Ohio might be the next place. Reporting from the Wesley Center, Daisy Lee, Daily Iowan TV.
Well, Keaton, it was a pretty cloudy Sunday for Easter.
I know, it made for a really gloomy holiday, but let's toss it over to Bradley Martin in the weather studio to find out if we can expect more of this. Brad?
Thanks, Nikki and Keaton, and I'm certainly looking forward to more of those spring temperatures in the week to come in Iowa City. Taking a look to Monday morning, we have a high of 31. Into Monday afternoon, that raises to 54 degrees and back down to 46 in the evening. As we take a look into our extended forecast for this week, Tuesday, a high of 62 and a low of 45, mostly cloudy skies. Wednesday is a high of 66 and a low of 51, and that's where we see 90% chance of precipitation there in the form of, of course, thunderstorms. Thursday's highs back in the 60s and down to 36 in the evening, cooling off a bit more, partly cloudy skies there. And your weekend looking pretty nice. Highs in the 60s and lows in the mid to low 30s. And in other weather-related news, one canine is making a difference, and his name is Piper. Piper trails the runways at Michigan's Traverse City Airport, chasing away birds and, of course, taking names. The airport has had an increased number of bird strikes in the past years, and these strikes will pose a significant threat to planes arriving and departing, making the job of the Border Collie extremely important. Piper currently works 4 days a week in all types of weather. Now that's all I have for you in the weather studio. My name is Bradley Martin.
I-80 tragedy outside of Des Moines. Early Sunday morning, a deadly crash took the lives of 2 police officers, a prisoner whom they were transferring, and another unnamed driver after a head-on collision on Interstate 80. The other driver was heading in the wrong direction when they hit the police vehicle, killing both drivers and passengers.
7 miles off the Iowa City main path lies the Devonian Fossil Gorge, an open area with thousands of fossils for hikers to touch and investigate. But a common question that still remains, what caused the Fossil Gorge and is it safe? Daily Iowan TV's Brad Martin has more on the story.
On a summer's night in 1993, a flood occurred and unveiled something special, a fossil gorge in Iowa City.
93, we had about almost 5 feet, or about 5 feet of water discharged through the spillway.
Under that water and soil lie one of nature's true beauties, fossils.
Most of the Devonian bed is actually hidden treasure.
But over 22 years later, the same question still remains. Were the floods exacerbated by climate change?
Hard to say. My first gut reaction is probably not. Our seasonal patterns, our weather patterns are changing a little bit.
Like a temperature increase of 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit, causing polar ice caps to melt and possibly the flood of 93.
We had to clean it up down there. I mean, everybody on staff was down there picking up dead fish. It had to be a long time now before there weren't any fossils again, but there's thousands of fossils down there.
While it's cold and cloudy out today, in the warmer months, this spot becomes a learning facility for Iowa City students around the tri-state area.
When I have school groups down there, it's one of the emphasis I make, you know, it's everything that's down here stays down here, so that the next group of kids come out and find the same thing.
But after 25 years of service, Park Ranger Terry is scheduled to retire this summer. Reporting from the Fossil Gorge, I'm Bradley Martin, Daily Iowan TV.
Open relations with Cuba may lead to Iowan revenue. U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack recently met with Cuban Minister of Agriculture to sign a memorandum understanding the act will promote sharing research between the two countries. Many Iowans are hoping that this agreement will lead to increased trade with the nation, who already imports up to 80% of their food and has a great deal of technological catching up to do.
Saturday brought another round of wins for Bernie Sanders. The senator celebrated caucus wins in Hawaii, Alaska, and Washington state. Sanders says that his campaign is working on outreach to superdelegates who are currently siding with Clinton. April will bring 6 more presidential contests to New York and other northeastern states.
Well, it was a busy weekend for Hawkeye sports over this Easter weekend.
Yep, Taylor was running around for all of the action, and now she's standing by in the sports studio. Taylor?
Thanks, guys. No sports slowed down this Easter Sunday, and neither did I, including the ending to Iowa baseball's 3-game series against Maryland. We start from the beginning of that series first, though. It was nothing but impressive from the start of Game 1. Friday night, it was Iowa against Maryland's All-American pitcher Mike Schwarin, but instead of looking towards him on the mound, it was actually Iowa's C.J. Eldridge who showed up to throw his first collegiate complete game. The sophomore allowed only 1 run on 6 hits and struck out 8 people.
Good. I mean, I established my fastball right away, and when you're able to do that, you know, that helps a lot. It helps bring the off speed along. But yeah, I felt good in the pen, felt good out there, and it was good to get some runs on board. These guys got me comfortable, and yeah, I felt good from the start.
The comfortableness came in the second inning from Eldred's teammates on offense. Robert Newstrom hit a 2-run triple off Maryland's Schwarin to give Iowa the 2-1 lead. Top of the lineup, center fielder Joel Booker hits a gem outside the walls for a 2-run home run, giving Iowa a 4-1 lead. The Hawkeyes went on to win 8-1 behind Eldridge himself. It was more of a battle between the bats in the second game of the series on Saturday, with a little help from Iowa's ace pitcher Tyler Payton. I was at Dwayne Banks Field to see if Iowa could clinch their first Big Ten outing.
Normal was what described Tyler Payton on the mound on Saturday. After a tweak to the shoulder earlier in the season, the pitcher was limited pitches against Maryland, but went 5 full innings, allowing only 1 run.
I thought he looked normal today for the first time since Dallas Baptist, and that was a great sign. He did exactly what he needed to do. He gave us a great start.
I felt good. I felt like I could have thrown 3-4 more innings. I mean, to be honest, I mean, like we're playing it safe right now, seeing that I can get back to 100% after maybe 1 or 2 more weeks.
The 4-1 win went to Nick Gallagher, though. The sophomore struck out 4 in 4 shutout innings.
Gallagher came in and was just fantastic out of the bullpen, and really pleased with Nick's effort. He's really growing each time he takes the mound.
The battle back and forth on the mound and at bat was all worth it. Once the 8th inning rolled around, it not only showed the team's toughness, but also how they're trying to work through the lineup to get everyone's at bats going in the right direction.
Talk a lot about when things aren't going good, just keep with the plan, stick with the plan, don't get caught up in things you can't control, and the game will come back to you. And that was a great example of today as how the game came back to us.
It was all about sacrifice. One from pinch runner Devin Pickett, who avoided a tagout with a slide, to a sacrifice bunt by Zach Daniels.
Those plays that people will go home, they'll forget about, they won't even remember it. And if he doesn't make the good slide to avoid the tag, I mean, that inning completely changes.
The inning continued as it was the starting pitcher who hit a 2-run single to put Iowa up 3-1. A squeeze bunt by catcher Jimmy Francos sealed the deal for the series clinch.
Maryland threw some heat on Sunday to close up the series, and Iowa was unable to convert as they lost 4-1. I'll have the recap from that game on Monday's show, as well as a look at the positives that they took out of this weekend. Across the way at the Iowa Tennis Complex, the women's tennis team tried to bounce back in Big Ten play after dropping a close match to Wisconsin on Friday night. After a doubles win by Anastasia Remshkin and Zoe Douglas, it was up to Adorable Huckleby and Amy Tarrant to clinch the double match point for Iowa to go up 1-0 on Minnesota. After a back-and-forth battle, Minnesota went up 6-5, and it was a little too late for Huckleby and Tarrant as Minnesota took the victory. As for the singles matchups, Iowa fell short and the Gophers took the match 4-3. The Hawks returned to the court for an in-state battle against Drake University on March 30th in Des Moines. As for the men's tennis team, they played host to the Gophers as well in doubleheader fashion on Easter Sunday. We will have that recap on Monday. Now, as March Madness is in full effect, as 2 teams punched their ticket to the Final Four on Saturday night, and both upsetting #1 seeds. Oklahoma with the win over Oregon, 80-68, and Villanova over Kansas, 64-59. Iowa did see Villanova in that second round of the tournament, and some Hawkeyes earned some postseason recognition. Peter Jock and Jared Uthoff were named to the first and second team of the National Association of Basketball Coaches All-District 7th team, which represents some of the best basketball players across the country. Those 2 were definitely the offense to Iowa's season this year. Uthoff obviously showing interest in the NBA draft that is coming up on June 23rd. News broke last week, though, about Jock exploring his NBA options, something that could completely change the dynamic of Coach McCaffrey's squad next season, as Jock is the only returning starter. Nikki and Keaton, back to you.
While Easter Sunday brings many families together, a few pushy parents ruined an egg hunt in Connecticut. Event organizers say they placed over 9,000 eggs on 3 different fields, which were supposed to cater to different age groups.
Parents became anxious, though, and ignored all the rules. They created a mob mentality and rushed the field all at once. Hundreds of families showed up and forced the event to end early. The unruly parents will likely be on this year's Santa's Naughties list. That's all we have for you tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
Be sure to check out our website, dailyiowan.com, for all the latest news between now and Sunday. For Daily Iowan TV, I'm Keaton Fuller.
And I'm Nikki Crossway. Have a good night.